Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Abigail. I'm the co-founder of That Clean Life. And this is Ashley. Ashley, do you want to introduce yourself real quickly?
Yeah, hi guys, I'm Ashley and I'm the growth lead here at That Clean Life.
Amazing. Okay, so lots of you guys are coming in here. Welcome to today's webinar. So today we're talking all about family-based meal planning. Right before we went live here, I was saying to Ashley, it is like family-based meal planning is a hard thing to tackle. It's definitely not easy because you're taking into consideration the needs of a whole family instead of one individual. But if you can get it right, there is huge opportunity in this. So I'm really excited to go over this stuff today, and I hope you guys are too. So to get things started, I want you guys to open up the chat box. I want you to click on that little blue box that says, I'm not sure what it says on your end. My end says all panelists, but I want you to turn it to all panelists and attendees. That way we can all talk to each other. We can all hear each other's questions. And when I respond to a question, everybody knows who I'm talking to. And once you've done that, please say hi in the chat box. We know lots of you are here, so don't be shy. Say hello. And we would love for you guys to share one win that you've had in your business. So let's start things positive. Share one win, big or small, can be anything. Maybe you booked a new client, maybe you created a lead magnet, anything else. Share with us in the chat box what you're celebrating in your business. And while you guys type those in, a few things that we've been working on here at That Clean Life. So as you probably know, if you've been around for a while, we've been releasing a lot of programs. So once the pandemic hit, we started getting you guys the content you needed real quick. We did an immune boosting program. We did a healthy and affordable program. We did a freezer meal program. And then last week or 2 weeks ago, we released our intermittent fasting program, which we've had great feedback on. And then this week was all about family-friendly programs. So we did a basic family-friendly program, and then we did a plant-based family-friendly program. So no matter if you're serving clients with, I don't know if you call them regular eating needs or plant-based eating needs, there's 2 family-friendly programs in there for you to choose from. Okay, so that's kind of what we've been up to over here. Let's turn it back over the chat box. Ashley, did you see any good wins in there that we can celebrate?
Yeah, I saw Joy. So she's a new member and she's launching her business and she already has clients before she's even launched, which is a huge win. It's amazing.
That is really good. I also just saw one come in. Now I lost it. Jamie, she said she's getting new referrals from docs, which is awesome. I assume you mean doctors. Would love to hear more about that and how you're making that happen. What else, guys? Keep the positivity coming. Let us know wins that you've had in your business. Like I said, big or small. So I see Sally Jean also said that she created a nice resource for capsule family meals, which is really great idea. Okay, so without further ado, let's get right into our topic of the day, which is meal planning for families. So Ashley, I'm going to turn it over to you to go through your kind of best tips and tricks when it comes to meal planning for families.
Yes. Okay, awesome. So I'm just going to fire up my screen share, which hopefully you guys can see okay. And I'm going to also disclose up front that I do not have a family. So everything that I learned about family meal planning, I learned through working with clients who do have families. So hopefully some of these tips are helpful for you guys. And also feel free to chime in the chat box if you have any tips of your own to share based on your family's experience or your client's family's experience. Because it is tricky. Like Abigail said, it can be really hard to meal plan for families. So the very first thing that I want to talk about before we really jump into the meal planning side of this is assessing the family as a whole before you ever start providing any recipes or meal plans at all. This is something I learned the hard way because kids are apparently very picky. And if you put a recipe in a family's meal plan that's centered around an ingredient the kid doesn't like, it kind of throws everything off. So having your clients either come in as a family, or if that's too much effort, just doing a thorough assessment of everyone's different needs and preferences, what they like, what they don't like, How old are any kids in the household? Do they like cooking? Are they able to come into the kitchen and complete basic cooking tasks? What kind of equipment does the family have? You know, do they have an Instant Pot? Do they have a slow cooker? Are they really into barbecuing? All this kind of information is going to save you a ton of time in terms of having to redo their meal plan or resend them a new set of recipes when the first suggestions didn't land quite well. So that Clean Life has a free meal planning assessment tool that you guys can download. I think Abigail might have just put that in the chat box. So feel free to click that. It's totally free, and you can use this with your clients, either going through it verbally as an assessment, or just email it to them as a Google form, and then their response will get emailed to you. Okay, so once you've done that, then you can move on to the fun part, which is where you get to pick out the recipes and build out the meal plan. So if you are new to that Clean Life, welcome. And I'm gonna show you a couple of things that you might not know. And for those of you guys who are already members, you're gonna probably learn something today, because we're gonna be using a lot of the little features that we sometimes forget about in our daily meal planning workflows. So in our recipe database, if you're not a member, we add new recipes every single week, and all of the recipes are designed, tested, and photographed by our recipe developers right here in-house, some of whom are parents. So we've got a lot of kid-friendly recipes in the mix, which is really, really helpful. And we make it really easy to search based on what you're looking for. So there's a couple different ways you can do this as it specifically relates to families that I'm going to walk you through. The first is just by straight up typing anything you know they love into this search bar up here at the right. So if on your family's assessment, when you ask them what kind of food do they eat a lot of, and the results were like chicken fingers, frozen pizzas, mac and cheese, you know, all of those kind of typical throw together family meals, you can search for healthy versions of that stuff in that Clean Life just by searching for the name. So for example, if I wanted to see pizza recipes, you can see we have a bunch of different options. You can see how long they take, how many ingredients. These mini eggplant pizzas, you can see, take only 30 minutes. So checking out a recipe like this, got a lot of veggies, but it's something familiar, this might be a really good option. When you open up the recipe, you're always going to see, obviously, the title, how long it takes, how many ingredients, a really appetizing photo, which is, I think, a very important part of getting anyone interested in making a recipe, but especially kids, to give them an idea of what the outcome is going to be. And then if you scroll down, you'll be able to see the ingredients, the directions, and the nutrition information. So you can have a look at all of that before you decide if that's a good fit for the family or not. Another example of this might be, maybe you know that the family loves doing taco night. They're always buying those like Old El Paso taco kits. I don't know about you guys, but I was raised on those for sure. And they are not the healthiest. So you can give just a basic classic taco recipe that doesn't rely on a MSG and sodium filled packet from the grocery store. And if you want to make any changes to anything, you can absolutely do that. So for example, if you're looking at this recipe and you're thinking this is great, however, corn tortillas are not easy to find in my area, or the kids prefer wheat tortillas, or whatever that might be, you can make a copy of any recipe and just easily swap out an ingredient. So maybe tortillas are a little too exotic for the neighborhood that you live in, but just basic like whole wheat tortillas are easy to find. So you could use those instead. And when you update the ingredient, you'll see the nutrition information on the right-hand side automatically updates. So you could do a lot of different things like this. If you wanted to change from ground beef to ground turkey, there's a ton of different ways you can modify things. But just keep in mind that whatever the recipe is, if there's one ingredient you would love to switch to make it perfect for the family, you can actually just switch it before you send it to them, and then they don't have to remember, oh, it says beef, but we're going to get ground turkey, or we're going to replace something instead. Okay, so there's also other ways that you can search. So if, for example, you know that someone in the family has a sensitivity, you can use our recipe tags. All of our recipes are tagged, so you could search for recipes that are gluten-free, dairy-free, egg-free, nut-free. That's a big one. If the families are packing a lunch, a lot of the time the schools can't have anything with nuts in it, so you can search based on that. You can also, like I mentioned, search based on what equipment they have. So if you did identify that the family has an Instant Pot or a slow cooker and they love using it, you can search for slow cooker recipes or pressure cooker recipes. And you can also search by time. So this is a big one for families. All families are time poor and they don't have a bunch of time to be getting home from work or school and then putting together a 2-hour meal. So if you want to look for recipes that are 30 minutes or less, or that require less than 5 ingredients, you can find recipes easily that meet those criteria. And then the last thing that you need to know about, and this is a little bit more complex, but really, really handy if you're working with families that have any type of health issues or that you've identified any deficiencies in their diet, you can search for recipes based on nutrition information. So you might not be looking for specific calorie ranges when you're talking about families, but you might be looking for recipes that are higher in protein, higher in fiber, higher in specific nutrients of interest. I know a lot of kids have anemia, so you can search for recipes that are high in iron. So anything that you're looking for, we make it really easy to kind of pull that out. And I'm going to plug in something really simple here so we can just kind of put together like a little set of ideas. So I'm going to say under 30 minutes, under 8 ingredients, and maybe this family is gluten-free, and maybe they have a kid who was just diagnosed with celiac disease or something like that. And also there's lactose intolerance in the family. But mostly they're just looking for quick and easy recipes that don't contain anything that they're allergic to. So once I've narrowed down the recipes to only options that will work for the family I'm working with, I can start putting them into just a basic recipe book. This is a really good place to start when you're working with families. I actually recommend starting here and then moving into meal planning based on the recipes that you know they like. So first give them some recipes to try out and you'll get a better idea of what their tastes are. So I'm going to start adding recipes to a recipe book. Something like this. This is a really simple recipe, works great as a breakfast option. And for a family that might just be doing plain eggs with toast, adding avocado into the mix is a great way to boost up the nutrition of a breakfast like that. So I've already started a collection called Tanya's Family Cookbook. So I'm going to add this recipe. I did that by going to the collections tab and just clicking new collection. And I've already started building out a collection of recipes that are going to work for this client's family. So I'm going to add a couple more just to show you guys how this works. So these vanilla protein pancakes, sometimes when you're making a recipe book, once you've plugged in all of the criteria for what they can't eat, how long things can take, you might not feel like you need to open every recipe. So you can also just add recipes to the collection right from here on the recipe page if you don't want to open it. Something like almond, chia, and banana toast. I don't think I need to see the ingredients for that recipe. I get the idea. So I'm just going to pop that in her cookbook as well. And let's pretend that we did that for a little while. And now we have a collection that's full of recipes that are going to work for this client's family. And then the next step is going to be to actually give this to the client. So we call these meal planning guides here at That Clean Life. So basically you can use That Clean Life to create 2 main types of resource, and there's a lot of other ways you can use it too, but the main ways are to create either meal plans or recipe books. So this way is with a recipe book, and the recipe book is going to be used for the family to do their own meal planning rather than making a meal plan for them. So once I've got all the recipes, on average, I recommend probably about 20, we like to say. So maybe 5 breakfast, 5 lunch, 5 dinner, and 5 snack ideas. And I'm going to click on export, and I'm going to select recipes. And then you have the option to include nutrition information if you want to, or you don't have to include it if you don't want to. You can choose a cover photo. I like to pick the one that just I think will get my client the most excited. And then for a recipe book, we have a little introduction that you can use. It's pre-written and included in That Clean Life. So I'm just going to click on snippets, templates, and then the recipe book introduction. And I always like to personalize these a little bit. So you want to say, hi, Tanya. Instead of saying welcome to your own personal cookbook, I'm going to say welcome to your family's own personal cookbook. And you could add anything else you want to. This includes some tips on leftovers, on grocery shopping, on reading the recipes, and maybe we'll just say have fun because this is a family and they're learning to cook together for the first time. And then what the client is actually going to see at the end of all of this is a PDF. So this is great. You just send this to your client as either an email attachment, or you can send it directly through that Clean Life. So everything you're doing in that Clean Life is only for you. Your clients don't log in and make their own meal plans or pick their own recipes. What they get at the end is just this really beautiful kind of ebook style resource with your branding. So it's got your logo, business information, your website if they want to click and go book an appointment with you or anything like that. All of that information that I included at the beginning of how to read the recipes, how to make their own meal plans. The introduction that I selected, the ones that's saved in that Clean Life, has a link to a blank meal planning template. So your client can actually print it off and just pencil in their own meals. Really fun activity to do with kids if you are doing meal planning for a family. And then it goes on to the recipes. So I selected some fun things like chicken fingers and fries, that fried egg sandwich that we looked at, a basic meal prep with just pasta and meat sauce, those tacos that we looked at, and every single recipe has your logo, your name, your website again, and then it goes on to the ingredients and directions that are really easy to follow. This opens really nicely on an iPad in the kitchen if your clients are using that for their recipes, or their phone, or they can print it off if they want to. So kind of works for all the different setups for cooking. Okay, so that is recipe books. And now let's talk about meal plans, because this is one that's a little bit more in depth when you're meal planning for multiple people. So first, I'm going to show you guys our programs, because like we mentioned at the top, we have been creating a ton of new programs, and a bunch of them are specifically for families. So this is a great place to start. So you'll find our programs under the programs tab. If you're new to that Clean Life, our programs are pre-made meal plans. So they're a great template to work off of. We've got a little something for everybody. So we've got a bunch of family-friendly plans, the ones that are called family-friendly, but we also have other plans that are family-friendly. We have a kid-friendly plan. The freezer plan that Abigail mentioned earlier is a great family meal plan. So we have lots of different options. And then we also have them for more specific needs. So we've got low histamine diets, we've got a low FODMAP diet, pretty much something for everybody in here. We do our best to keep these fully stocked for you guys. And one of the best things about using our programs, because they're pre-made, is that they include a prep guide. So every program comes with a prep guide, which actually guides your client day by day through everything that they need to do in order to follow the meal plan. Also really helpful for busy families who don't have a lot of time to figure it all out, and they just need to come home and know exactly what they have to do to get dinner on the table. So this makes it nice and easy to follow the meal plan. And let's actually open one up. I keep talking about these meal plans, but let's actually show you guys what it looks like. So the first thing that you're going to notice is that the nutrition information is all laid out day by day up at the top. So every recipe that you add to a meal plan, or if you're using a pre-made meal plan, every recipe that's included is going to be calculated in the nutrition analysis. And you can see the main ones, calories, macros up here, but I can scroll and see the micronutrients as well. So you can have a look at anything that's relevant to what you're working on. And if you prefer to just see the calories along with the fat, carb, protein ratios, you can click down to this little pie chart and just see those laid out really clearly. Another thing you might notice is that I've got mine set up so it's Monday to Sunday, breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner. All of these are customizable. So if you don't want it to say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, if you live somewhere where the day or the week starts on Sunday, I know in Egypt, calendars always start on Sunday. Or if you just wanted to say meal 1, meal 2, or pre-workout, post-workout snack, you can control these labels as well. And then you'll see that some of the recipes, or some of the meal photos, I should say, are grayed out. So what that means is that that meal has been marked as a leftover. So on this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for this plan, they're making a baked oatmeal and then they're having leftovers for 2 days. So they only have to cook once and they get to eat 3 times, which is perfect for families. You'll also notice some of the meals have 2 recipes in one slot. So you can add a side dish to any meal plan, or to any meal on a plan. this is really helpful for families because sometimes like not everyone's tastes are going to match up. So if someone is more into having like a high veggie salady type dinner, but maybe the kids are more interested in pizza or pasta, you can put them both into a recipe and maybe the kid can have like one bite of salad and say they tried. But everything will be included on the shopping list because for every meal plan, a shopping list is automatically generated based on everything that you added. So all of the ingredients for every recipe you choose will automatically be calculated on a shopping list, which is a huge time saver if you're currently doing that manually. And another thing that you're going to want to know about that's really important specifically for meal planning for families is that you can set the serving sizes or the number of servings that every recipe makes. So right now I have open a program from our programs page, and this automatically serves one person. But I'm going to make a copy of this program and I'm going to change it to serve 4 people. And I'm going to change the name of it to my fake client name. So Tanya's Family Friendly, we'll say meal plan. And I'm going to call this week 1 because maybe I'm going to be doing meal planning for Tanya's family long term. And I'm going to want to keep track of when I started and what I've already given them. Okay, so I'm going to copy. And because I scaled this meal plan to 4 people, this is something that you can only do with our programs. They automatically scale. So now all of the recipes, instead of being scaled to serve 1 person, are going to be scaled to serve 4 people. So when it would have been 3 servings, if it was for just 1 person, instead I've got 12 servings because it is 4 people. Hopefully that is super clear what I mean by that. And I know that with families can be a little bit tricky because you might have, like a mom and a dad and 2 kids. My fake family is very nuclear, and maybe the kids are, eating a little bit less because they're tiny humans, but like dad's eating a little bit more because he's a bigger human. So usually what I have found in clinic that works really well is for every kid, I would add like another half serving, but it's hard to add another half serving of a recipe. So you can just round it out to 1 and usually the food will get eaten. If there are 2 kids, then you might want to scale it to 3, or you might want to scale it to 4 if they're a little bit older. Some kids who are in more teenage areas, you might want to add 2 extra servings for them because they eat a lot. You'll find what works well. Every family is a little bit different. So those are just rules or suggestions to start from. But the family, as long as you're in good communication with them, will give you feedback like, oh, we followed this meal plan, but we found that there wasn't enough food and we were buying a lot of granola bars this week or something like that. So make sure that you're chatting with them and getting that feedback so that next time to increase the number of servings to make it work for them. You can scale any recipe up to 24 servings. So if you want to, you could do as many as 24 servings in a single batch of cooking. But that's, I think, overkill. I don't think there are many families that are that big and need that much food. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to talk about is desserts. This is super common for families. A lot of like little kids always like having dessert, or maybe they aren't the best eaters, but they always want something sweet. So you can totally schedule desserts as a 3rd snack. In our family-friendly program, I kind of thought of it more as like a bedtime snack because I know kids love to eat bedtime snacks. But if you wanted to add a dessert, you can add it as a side dish to dinner. So both of those things are going to be accounted for in one meal. So like I mentioned, you can put a side dish with any meal. So I'm going to click into my dinner on Monday. I've already got my main scheduled, which are these chicken tenders that are crusted with just like oats pulsed in a food processor or a blender. Really easy and also really kid friendly. And then I'm going to add a side dish of whatever kind of dessert I know that they like. So I know that we have a really great recipe for a chocolate avocado pudding type thing. So I'm going to look for a recipe like that. There's lots of chia puddings. Oh, this sweet potato chocolate pudding. That one's really, really good. So I'm going to use that one. And I'm going to set it to 4 servings because I know that there's going to be 4 people eating, and add that to the dinner. So that's another fun trick for families, is to schedule in a little desserty kind of thing. Bonus points if you can sneak some vegetables into the dessert, because even if the kids are having a hard time adjusting to eating more vegetables in their meals, they will usually happily consume them as a dessert. So that's a good tip. And you can also give tips to the parents for recipe modifications. So this is where, you're coming in as the expert to make their lives a little bit easier. If you're like me and you don't have kids, you're going to have to school yourself a little bit on this. We have a great blog post on our blog of meal ideas that work well for the family and how to actually modify them to feed, the parents and the kids, and little tricks that you can do. So what I actually did is I went into my account, so into my profile, and under preferences, members and non-members, both of you guys might not know about this. So under your preferences, you can save text to your account. So I created a snippet for kid-friendly ideas that I can just add anytime I'm making a meal plan for a family. So to make recipes more kid-friendly, you can wrap salads in whole wheat tortillas. So if you put a salad on the family's meal plan, you might want to let them know if you buy a pack of tortillas, put that inside. Your kids are maybe more likely to eat it than they would be to tuck into a bowl of salad. You can mix roasted vegetables with pasta to get them to eat more roasted veggies. You can freeze smoothies as popsicles, which are a great snack idea. Maybe good for them to eat in the car on their way to work, whatever family age of activity level they have. And also when you schedule things like pizzas or tacos, instead of putting everything together and then serving it, to let the kids get involved and maybe put their own pizza toppings on, or to serve the tacos all deconstructed at the table. So just little suggestions like that. Maybe you have some of your own that you can add to the list. Or if you're a total newbie to family meal planning, check out our blog post and steal some of our tips. So going back to my meal plan, when it comes time to actually send this to Tanya's family, I'm going to click export, the same as I did for the recipe book, but this is going to send the whole meal plan, so day by day. Again, I could include nutrition if I wanted to. I find for families a lot of the time, that's not as big of a deal. They tend to not be as interested in the numbers, but they're way more interested in just how can I get my kid to eat something that's not beige is sort of the goal. And just like with the recipe books, you can select a cover, which is always fun. And then the recipes are automatically always included. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did. So instead of applying the snippet for the recipe book introduction, I'm going to use the meal plan introduction. These will save you guys so much time, and they're always good to include the first time that you send someone a meal plan, just so that they know how to read the meal plan. Otherwise, you might get an email saying hey, how come some of my meals are grayed out? And this just saves the back and forth and also gives you extra points for having excellent communication skills, which everyone always appreciates. Kind of the same thing, customize it a little bit. Welcome to your family's meal plan, grocery list tips, shopping tips. In case you don't know this, those of you guys who are already members, our shopping lists are organized by department. So they're laid out in the typical grocery store layout. So they're maximized to save time in the grocery store. So anyway, this just explains that in the snippet. Recipe tips, so how to read the recipe. One question that we get a lot is about servings. So we explain right here, if a recipe says it serves 4, you can assume divide it into 4, and then each one of those is 1 serving. So if your clients are wondering how much to eat, that can guide them. It explains leftovers. And then I'm also going to apply the snippet that I created. So my snippet of kid-friendly ideas, because I am sending this to a family. So it's also going to include that little list of how to make recipes more kid-friendly, just to help them get their kids eating healthy. And I can say, have fun. I could include a link to book their follow-up appointment if I want to do that, or an email address that I can be reached at if they have any questions, just anything you would want to say to your client to make this as smooth of a transition for them as possible to get their family on following a meal plan. And then once that is downloaded, what the client is going to see is kind of the same thing as I showed you guys before. So we've got the cover page. These tacos look so good. and everything is branded again. So it's going to have your logo, your name, your email address, your website, all that good stuff. One thing that I think maybe members, you can let us know in the chat box if you agree with this, but I think something a lot of our members really appreciate about That Clean Life is that the interaction is always with your brand, right? They're never interacting with That Clean Life. They don't have to log in. They don't have to download an app. It's just a very like boutique good experience, and it makes you look really good, but you don't have to be a graphic designer. You don't have to do any of this stuff. It's just automatically there for you. Your logo is automatically added to everything. Those notes are formatted. They're looking all cute. So my client has all the information that they need to follow the plan. And then they can see this actual meal plan page. So this wasn't on the other thing I showed you because that was a recipe book. I think it's nice. I find a lot of families like to print this out. So it's landscape format. So it's a little bit easier to read. They can stick it up on the fridge so that their kids can see what's coming up or what the snacks are for the week when they're going in the fridge looking for something to eat. And the shopping list, again, automatically calculated. If you look at the numbers, you can see that I scaled my meal plan to 4 people. So all of these ingredients are enough to make 4 servings of every recipe that I put in here, or 12 servings if they're having it 4 times or 3 times. And then it goes into the recipes. So all of the recipes, like I mentioned before, have your logo on them. This is really helpful because if you are like giving a recipe for a bake sale or a birthday cake recipe, or we have a really great cupcake recipe where the frosting is made out of pureed sweet potatoes, the family might share that with another family, and really quickly you'll be able to, build up your client base. Families tend to just have no time to mess around. So if they hear that someone's good, they will generally take that referral rather than try and find somebody of their own. So if you have one family and someone in that family, one of the parents mentions to their friend that they're saving so much time, their kids are eating so much healthier because they started working with this health professional. It's a really great way to get into that niche and become really successful is just by providing really, really good service to the clients you do have, even if you only have 1 or 2 at the start. So keep that in mind. And yeah, all the recipes that you added to their meal plan are going to be included in this book. And this is what your client sees. And like I said, all the same rules apply as the recipe book. It opens really beautifully on any of their devices. And in general, it's just not complicated for them to use, which is key for compliance and success. And something I didn't mention, but that you probably should know about, is that if you're not able to find a recipe that you're looking for in our recipe database, or if you have a recipe of your own, or if the family has a recipe of their own that they really like to use, you can add your own recipes, and they behave exactly the same as our recipes do. So they're private, only you can see them in your recipe box. But when you add a recipe, I don't know, maybe the kids have their hot chocolate recipe that they love to eat at bedtime. I don't know where I'm going with this. But maybe there's some kind of healthy hot chocolate recipe that the kids always have before bed because they have a dream life where they get hot chocolate before bed. Takes 1 minute, makes 1 serving. When you add the ingredients, the nutrition information will update automatically. Cocoa powder, maybe there's like 1/4 cup of that in there. And what I'm just trying to show you guys is that the nutrition information updates here. So when you add a recipe, we run a nutrition analysis for it, and then it gets saved in your recipe box. And then you can use it in any meal plan. You can use it in any recipe book. The ingredients will be added to the shopping list. It will act exactly the same as any of our other recipes. All right, I think that's everything I wanted to walk through. How are we doing for questions?
Okay, so we have a list. I've been keeping track again as we go. Let's just start at the top. So Deb was asking, I think the context was she's meal planning for a client over a longer period of time, and how to keep track of what she's given that client so that she doesn't repeat.
Yeah. Okay. So the way that I would do that, and this works really, really well, is create a collection and just call it like Tanya's family meal plans. And then every time you create a meal plan for this client, so I'm creating that collection, I'm going to go to my planner. This is easy because I only just started working with this client. 5 minutes ago. So my fake client, Tanya. So I'm going to add the week 1 of her meal plan to her collection. Now, if I'm working with Tanya for months and months and months, every time I create, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, I'm just going to do that exact same thing where I just click here, add to collection. And then as time goes on, I'm going to have a collection with all of her meal plans listed in one place. So I can really quickly and easily open up a meal plan, even if I just worked on it, I don't know, like 4 months ago or something. I can open it really quickly and have a look at what I gave her. You can also search by name if you forget to start a collection or something, or if you're already a member and you didn't know that you could do this, you can go back and organize all of your recipes. So you can just use the search button to look for the recipe or the meal plan that you created in the past.
And I'd just like to add to that, I wouldn't be too afraid to repeat recipes either. Some clients might actually appreciate it because every time they make a recipe, they become more familiar with it. So once you find your client, like once you do a check-in, you say, how did you like your meal plan last week? And they tell you they really loved a recipe. You can add that recipe into their collection like Ashley just showed you so that you know they love it and you could add it to a future meal plan. And they'll probably be happy about it because I personally, like for my family, I wouldn't want to be creating a new recipe that I was unfamiliar with every single night or something difficult. So just keep that in mind too. Most people, I should say, I know there is some people who love variety and love trying new things all the time, but most people actually will welcome something familiar in. So just keep that in mind. Next question is, can I make a shopping list with my own recipes?
Yeah, definitely. So like I mentioned at the end there, any recipe that you add to your recipe box behaves exactly the same as a recipe that is already in that Clean Life. So if I go to my recipe box and I add any recipe to my meal plan, can add it to my plan. Well, I don't have any empty spots on that plan. But if I did, it would show up in the recipe or in the shopping list. Hold on, I'm going to clear a spot just to show you this. So let's take out one of these snacks and I'm going to go to my recipe box and just add maybe this coconut almond hemp seed porridge. This is actually that Clean Life recipe, guys. I don't have any actual recipes of my own because I rely on that Clean Life to feed myself. But if it was my recipe, same thing goes. So this is in my recipe box. Now it's on my meal plan. And like you can see, it looks just like any other recipe that I added. And when I go to the shopping list, all of the ingredients for that recipe are going to be there too.
Cool. Okay. Next question was the difference between the planner and collection. So there was also a few other questions of how do I create a recipe book with a grocery list? So guys, basically the planner, what you add to the plan will automatically create the grocery list for it. So if you want recipes with a grocery list, your best bet is to export it from the planner. Collections are a great way to organize your content, meal plans, and recipes. Think of collections like folders. So that's a good way to stay organized. And the planner is for exporting meal plans, grocery list, and recipes all in one bundle. So I hope that clarifies. How to send the prep guide was the next question.
Oh yeah, so the prep guides are a little bit different because they are a Google document. So you can make modifications. So if you modify a program, which you totally can, so if you take our family-friendly program, but you want it to be dairy-free or egg-free, you can delete all the dairy or egg recipes, replace them with recipes that will work better for the family, and then you might want to make some changes to the prep guide. So we give you that option. But the way that I found works best is just to download it as a PDF, because your meal plan is going to export as a PDF. And then when you send your client their meal plan, you just attach the prep guide and the meal plan to the email, and everything is in one place for them, which is really easy. If you're new to Google Docs, just click on File and then Download, and then download as a PDF.
Okay, next question was about servings versus portions, which comes up a lot. So I was wondering if you could just take us into the planner and kind of walk us through the difference between like what happens when you change the servings and what happens when you change the portions.
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, so for the baked berry oatmeal, we've got a family of four. They're having it for 3 days, so we've got 12 servings. If I increased it to 16 servings or 20 servings, that's going to increase the number of, or the amount, I should say, of the ingredients on the shopping list. So this is how much they're going to have to buy for how much they want to make. So the servings is like the yield of the recipe. This recipe makes 12 servings. So a big old casserole dish full of baked oatmeal. Portions is how much one person is eating in one sitting. So we are always going to assume, unless you specify otherwise, that one person eats one serving, and the nutrition information is calculated based on that. Because it doesn't matter how many servings a recipe makes, the nutrition information isn't going to change because they're only eating one serving. The nutrition information is going to change if you decide to have them eat 2 servings. So maybe this isn't the best example for a family, but this works really well when you're meal planning for individuals and really watching their nutrition information. So you might think that 1 serving isn't quite enough for this person. I'm going to have them eat 1.5 servings. Or maybe I'm going to have them eat a double serving, so 2 servings. Probably not 12 servings. That would be crazy. And then you'll see here, if you look at the nutrition information for Monday, if I change it to 2 servings, the nutrition information just updated. The calories just went up because now they're eating 2 portions at breakfast. So hopefully that clarifies. Servings is how much a recipe makes. Portions is how much a client eats.
Yep, perfect. And while you're there on the planner, Ashley, can you really quickly show how to add a side dish?
Yeah, so you just click into the meal slot you want to add a side dish to, and a little dialog box is going to come up. There are 2 tabs here, main and side. So you're just going to click on side, and then you can search for whatever recipe you want to put as a side dish. There will be some suggestions if you have any rules applied to your meal plan, or you can just search for, this is hummus and veggie snack. So I think like hard-boiled eggs would be really good to have with that. So I'm just going to add a side dish of hard-boiled eggs.
Perfect. Okay, so that was side dishes. There was a question about how many servings our recipes create. Somebody was asking if they all serve, like, are recipes designed to serve one person, or, and the answer to that is all of our recipes are designed, developed, and tested to serve a certain amount of people. So for instance, let's look at, say, apple with sunflower seed butter. When you go into that recipe, like outside of a meal plan that hasn't been scaled, you're going to see the default number of servings. That's what it's been developed and tested for. And that ranges. That could be 1 serving, it could be 4 servings, it could be 6 servings, but no, that's the default. So that recipe has been tested. So if you scaled it up to 12 servings, say, like you have the ability to scale, I'm trying to think of a good example here. I'm kind of drawing a blank. Yes. Okay, perfect. So if you're going to this pudding, you can see that it serves 2. That's how the recipe's been tested by default, but you can scale that up to serve more or less if you want. So hopefully that clarifies. I know that was kind of a roundabout way to get there, but I think I got there. Does that make sense? I forget who asked that, but maybe let me know in the chat. Okay, lots of questions coming in about entering custom nutrition information for ingredients and adding your own ingredients. So I think there's kind of a lot of questions that are all the same questions, but kind of worded differently. So could you go through quickly adding like something to your recipe box that has a custom ingredient that's not inside of That Clean Life?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so this is really simple. It always sounds more complicated than it actually is. So if you guys just watch my screen, you'll see how easy it is to do this. Okay, so let's say, for example, I want to make a milkshake, and it will bring all the boys to my yard. And it's going to make one serving. Okay. So my milkshake is going to use an ingredient that we've never used before. I don't think we have chocolate ice cream in the database. No. Okay. So I'm going to use chocolate ice cream for my milkshake. I'm going to put half a cup, and the unit of measure is cup. Okay, so you can see, because when I typed it in here, nothing came up. So this is not an ingredient that we already have. So I'm going to put my quantity, my unit of measure. I'm going to select a category. This is important. The category will determine where it shows up on your shopping list. So actually think about this one, because otherwise you might confuse your clients. So I'm going to put that in the frozen section so that my client sees it under the frozen section on their shopping list. And if you had any prep notes, you could put that in here. So if you were wanting them to like dice it or peel it or chop it or whatever you want them to do. I don't do any of those things to ice cream, so I'm just going to leave it. And I'm going to click add ingredient. You can see that there's no matches. So if you click on find a match, you're going to open up the nutrition dialog box. So here you can search for the food in the USDA database. So if you wanted to search for chocolate ice cream, and see if anything comes up. There's a bunch of different brands. This is the USDA database. There's also, ice cream as just a common food. So I could select one of these. This is the fastest and easiest way to do it. The other way, so I'm just going to show you, if I just click on ice cream, 1 cup of ice cream has about 300 calories, 16 grams of fat, 41 grams of carbs. That sounds about right. So I would just save that. But let's say I have a specific brand of chocolate ice cream that I want to use. Another way that you can do this is custom nutrition information. So if you maybe like Coconut Bliss, that's my favorite ice cream. I could go on the Coconut Bliss website, search for their chocolate flavor, and most food brands have the nutrition label on the website, and I could just type in here whatever it says there. So the number of calories, however much fat, however many carbs, all the way down to the micronutrients if you wanted to do that. But you don't have to in order for it to save. And then you would just save that. And once this ingredient has been added, you're going to see it goes to a green check mark. And once you save, this is saved forever in your database. So now you can put chocolate ice cream in any recipe you want, and you won't have to repeat those steps.
And the same, somebody was asking about like adding a food from a retail store. I think that was the question, something like that, or a restaurant food. You could also enter the nutrition information of that restaurant food in this way. Like this week in support, it came up, somebody wanted to add a Trader Joe's pizza. So you could add a recipe, call it Trader Joe's cauliflower pizza, add the pizza as the ingredient, and then enter the nutrition information and save that. And then you can add that to meal plans. So that's
you can see in my recipe box, I have a no photo recipe called protein bar, which is exactly that. So I can just throw a protein bar onto any meal plan that I want. And the nutrition information is just matched with some popular protein bar here in Canada.
Next question was about adding your own recipes, which I think we already covered. So yes, you have access to your own personal recipe box, and you can add whatever you'd like into that recipe box. That is private and can only be seen by you. And yes, the nutrition information will calculate the same. You can add photos, and yes, you can create recipe books and meal plans from your own recipe box. Let me know if you guys have any questions about that. And then the next question was about pricing meal plans. So this is kind of an opinion-based thing. Ashley, I'd love to get your opinion as a practitioner. Would you charge more when you're meal planning for a family based compared to meal planning for an individual?
I personally probably would not, because I find it takes me the same amount of time to create a meal plan, regardless of how many people it's for using That Clean Life, which is part of the reason that it's so helpful. One thing I would recommend specifically for families, which is, and kind of just for everyone, this was just how I did it in my practice, is instead of selling like a one-off meal plan, so having your client just buy one meal plan. If you're charging extra for meal plans, you might want to sell them in packages. So with families, what I would do is I would do their full assessment, and then they could buy like 4 weeks worth of meal plans as a package for a higher price rather than just 1 week at a time, because I don't actually find that that's super helpful for anyone. It's more helpful for them to have like 4 meal plans, and then they can rotate through those for a few months until they come back to you for more. Definitely just calculate how much time you're spending on a meal plan. And if you're new or if you haven't used that Clean Life in the past, then you might not know really how much time it takes you. So that might change. Your prices might fluctuate a little bit at the beginning. But once you know how much time it takes you to make a meal plan, just make sure you're paying yourself what you want to make per hour and price your plans based on how much time you're spending on them.
Cool. Now we're kind of running short on time here, and we plan to go over a few ways you can grow your business while serving families. So with the time that's left, if you guys are up for it, we'd love to touch on those. Ashley and I have brainstormed and come up with 5 ways you can use that Clean Life to serve families and grow your business. So let's get through those. I see yes, please in the chat box. So I'm going to share my screen with you. 1 second here. Close that out. Ashley, does that look okay on your end?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so let's go through those ideas. So first things first is create a family-friendly lead magnet to attract your ideal client. So let's say your goal is to raise awareness and generate leads. So you know your ideal client is, say, parents of busy families that are involved in sports. And let's say that you know that one of the big issues that they struggle with is getting dinner on the table, and getting a dinner on the table that's fast and that the whole family will love. So in this case, you could really attract a lot of clients if you created a free resource called 15-minute dinners the whole family will love. So to find those recipes, you just click on the recipe gallery, click filter. So you want to search for 15-minute recipes that take 15 minutes. And then you want them to be dinner. You could even take this a step further if you wanted. Let's say your niche is with gluten-free families. You could add that. Let's say you're doing plant-based families. You could put the vegan filter in here. But for today, let's just say you want to find basic dinners that take 15 minutes. So I'm going to click filter recipes. And now I'm going to be left with 15-minute dinner recipes. And from here, I can scroll through and I can start finding ones that I think are family friendly. So the Asian pork lettuce wraps look good. What else would be great for a family? The roast beef plate with coleslaw and pickles would be really great for kids because they like their food separated. The chopped salad pitas would be really great. You guys get the point. There's lots of options to choose from here. And when you find a recipe that you think would be great for your lead magnet, you can just click on the little tab here and click add to collection. So I've created a collection called 15-minute dinners the whole family will love. And I popped a lot of those recipes that we just went through into my collection. Now I've got 5 recipes in there. All I need to do is click export collection. I'm going to export those recipes. I can choose a cover page, and then I can enter a little introduction to my lead magnet in the brief. So I wrote one in advance, so I'm going to use my templates. I'm going to put my lead magnet intro in there. So that pops that in there real quick, so I don't have to type that all up. I just said, hi, my name's Abigail, and I'm a family-focused nutritionist. And I talked about why I created this resource. And I also added my link to my free private Facebook group so that people can come join my community. And I say, hey, if you make any of these recipes, don't forget to tag me. Now I can just click start export. And guys, now I have a lead magnet. I'll scroll up here to the first page, all ready to go, right? Like that's all it took. Now my lead magnet is ready to go. I can create a landing page for it if that's what I want to do, or put it up on my website, depending on what you're using, and ask for people's email addresses in exchange for this awesome resource that will actually really help them solve a problem. Okay, so that's one idea. That's a great way you can attract clients and generate leads that you can then work on converting into paying clients. Now, let's say your goal is to increase your revenue, to make more money and give clients a lower cost way to work with you. So in this case, a good idea would be to run a challenge, a family-based challenge. So let's say you're a nutritionist who specializes in helping families go plant-based. You could run something like a 5-day Whole Foods for the whole family challenge. So we've got you started here because we've created a plant-based family-friendly program. So just head into programs, click on the plant-based family-friendly program, click on view, and that'll take you to the meal plan. Now, remember I said I want this challenge to be 5 days. So I'm going to make a copy of this meal plan. I'm going to name it the 5-day Whole Foods for the whole family challenge. I want it to serve 4 people, and then I'm going to click copy plan. Now that I've made a copy of this plan, I can edit it however I want. So I'm going to take off the meals for Saturday and Sunday because I want this to be a 5-day challenge. And I can remove all of those. You guys get the point. I won't make you sit here and watch me do it. And when I'm finished, you could make any other modifications, like you could swap in new recipes if you wanted to. Then all I need to do is click export. Again, choose a cover page, add a brief. And here's the download. Once you click export, you have a nice package to run your challenge with. You have your brief, the 5-day meal plan, the shopping list, and all the recipes, all custom branded with your logo. So see how easy it could be to run a challenge once you have that clean life. And then the last idea I wanted to go over real quick here was offering a family-friendly cooking class. So let's say, again, your goal is to increase your revenue and serve multiple clients at once. So a really great way to do this is a cooking class. I know in-person cooking classes aren't really possible with the pandemic happening right now, but you can absolutely take your cooking class online and you can charge money for it. So a really great way to do this in a way that would serve families would be to create something like a healthy make-ahead breakfast cooking class. And you could add some recipes to a meal plan that they could make ahead. You could walk them through how to prep it in 1 hour during your cooking class, and then that way they could have all their healthy breakfast prep for the week. So I created one in advance. I said healthy make ahead breakfast cooking class for the whole family. So I created a meal plan with just breakfast. I did an egg-based dish. I did a smoothie so that I can show them how to create smoothie packs in my cooking class. And I did pancakes because pancake can be made ahead, kept in the fridge, and heated up in a skillet or a toaster throughout the week. So I chose those 3 recipes. I'm going to export this. I can add a cover page again. I can add another snippet based on my cooking class, and then I can export that as a PDF. And then you have a beautiful handout to give the participants of your cooking class. So I hope that gave you guys a few ideas of how you could use that Clean Life to attract clients, to generate leads that you convert into paying clients, to get the attention of those that you want to speak to, especially if that's families, to run a challenge, to increase your revenue. And this can be super easy. It doesn't need to be complicated. I know we like to overcomplicate things, but keep it simple, and we can definitely help with that.
I was muted. 2 more ideas for you guys that can be really helpful. One, I was chatting in the chat box, so there were some questions already about this, but you guys can launch a family meal planning package as a part of your services. So that's sort of what I mentioned earlier. So if your goal is to introduce like longer term, higher priced offerings into your services, and you want to specialize in families, a family meal planning package can help so much with that, just straight up offering what you want your clients to buy. So something like this could include an initial assessment, which I mentioned in the chat box when someone was asking how much to charge for something like this. So you want to make sure you're including the cost of your time spent assessing them, either just through paperwork or in an actual appointment or on a call. And once you've determined whatever their needs are, what foods they like, don't like, skill level, cooking equipment, all that good stuff, you would create weekly meal plans customized to their needs. So obviously using that Clean Life makes it really easy to put those meal plans together, and they get the shopping list and the recipes all in one package, which makes it super simple for them to follow. And I already talked about this a little bit in the chat box because someone was asking, but pricing came up about this. So when it comes to customized meal plans as a package, on average, we see our members charging around $50 per week. Some definitely charge more and some a little bit less. So don't feel like you have to charge that amount or that that's industry standard. It's not the standard. It's just sort of an average of what we've noticed. So if you were doing a 6-week meal plan for a family, then that might cost around $450 just based on the $50 a week. But please factor in your time spent assessing, following up, anything else that's going into that. So you might want to charge closer to like $600 for a 6-week meal planning service for a family. And then the last option, so the second one I want to talk about, is launching a family meal planning membership or subscription service. So if what you're trying to work on in your business right now is recurring revenue, then you would want to consider creating a subscription service or a membership site kind of thing. So in this case, what happens is clients subscribe to receive weekly or monthly meal plans and meal planning guides. Everyone who subscribes gets access to the same meal plan. So this isn't a customized service. If you don't want it to be, it could just be like a group service. And maybe they also get access to a private community. So all the other families who are signed up can talk about what their kids loved, what they didn't love, any modifications they made. So if, for example, like a really good niche, and I know we actually have a couple of members who specialize in this, is helping families with kids who are recently diagnosed with celiac or recently diagnosed with other autoimmune issues. If you specialize in that, then you could create like a gluten-free family meal plan subscription service, and anybody who has that as a need, needing gluten-free family-friendly meal plans, could sign up, and every month they get their monthly meal plan, which, you know, you could put seasonal recipes in there. You could put holiday recipes for occasions that are coming up. You could put bonuses, whatever is relevant to what's going on, along with the prep guide. So it's easy for them to follow. And of course, like we already showed you guys, it's really, really easy to create this kind of stuff with That Clean Life. So you get to take a little bit of your time away from creating the resources and put that time into thinking about cool new ways you can support your clients and launch these kinds of services. We have members that use Kajabi to run their membership sites. Thinkific is another one that we've heard of. There's tons of different options out there. I know Wishlist Member, there's a few more, but the actual meal plan creation is really easy with That Clean Life. And then, because I know pricing always comes up, $20 to $60. I've seen them go even higher per month as a monthly recurring membership fee when it comes to meal plans. The more niche you are, the more you get to charge. So keep that in mind before you launch as well.
Cool. So there you have it, guys. 5 easy ways. I shouldn't say easy. They all take a bit of work. Anything worth doing takes work, but fairly simple once you have That Clean Life, because you don't need to create the content and the recipes and the photography from scratch. You have that at your fingertips. So you're a step ahead that way. So which of these ideas, I always love to ask this because I'm interested to know, which of these ideas are you guys most excited to implement? Or is there any new ideas that you learned today that you're like, yes, that is something I could do in my business right away? Let us know in the chat box. And to wrap things up, we want to go over, for those of you guys who aren't members of That Clean Life, because I know there are lots of you in the house, we want to go over the pricing. So if you're thinking about joining That Clean Life, Ashley's going to tell you about our membership options now.
Yeah, okay, so for those of you guys who aren't using That Clean Life, but you know you need to get all your time back and make better meal plans for your clients, we make it really easy. So everything that you saw today is included with your membership. So it's not like you pay a certain amount for certain features and you pay more for other features. You get access to absolutely everything and unlimited use of That Clean Life with your membership. So whether you have 1 client or 1,000 clients, we don't charge any different. And the price is either yearly, so $600 for the year, or you can pay monthly at $60 per month. There is no difference in terms of your access to That Clean Life with the memberships, but with the yearly membership, it works out that you get 2 months for free. So that's a pretty significant savings. And then also, if you are signing up with the yearly membership, you get access to our bonus course, which is the Nutrition Business Growth Accelerator. This course, we've run hundreds of members through it at this point, and the results are always amazing. So in this course, we teach everything from how to attract clients, how to create an awesome client experience, how to set your prices. If that's something you've always felt kind of insecure about your pricing, we talk a lot about that. How to run group programs, high-end programs, subscription services, membership sites. So kind of wherever you're at in your business, we will walk you through what are the next steps, how to plan that out, and how to get there. So if you sign up with the yearly membership, this is included for free as a bonus. This is not included for the monthly membership. So kind of, again, to wrap things up, it's $600 for the year, $60 a month, and you get access to all of the features and unlimited use either way.
Perfect. Okay, let's wrap things up there, guys. I hope this was great for you. I hope you learned a ton. Like we said at the beginning, serving families with their nutrition needs is hard, but it's really rewarding when you can do a good job of it, because you're helping multiple people at once. And I can tell you firsthand, because I have a family myself and I'm trying to figure out how to balance everything and feed them healthy meals. It is really challenging, and it is a problem that people need help with. So if you can create services that speak to parents who are trying to get meals on the table and feed their family nourishing meals, there's big opportunity here. So I hope you guys take it. So with that being said, thank you so much for your time, everybody. Thanks for coming out today, and we'll catch you on the next webinar. Thanks again. Bye.
Bye, guys.